Olivia Reed, a humble, kind young woman, find herself fixing her blouse in a car window just moments before a big job interview. Unbeknownst to her, a lonely millionaire, Adrian Bellamy, had been watching. When their eyes meet and a simple good luck changes both their lives forever, their worlds begin to collide. From accidental encounters to small acts of kindness, this is the touching story of how two very different lives are gently woven together by fate, compassion, and the magic of unexpected love. Before we start the story, leave a comment to let us know where you're watching from. Like and subscribe to support our community. Your support means a lot to us. Now, enjoy the story as we continue. Olivia Reed woke up early that chilly morning with a heavy heart. The little room she shared with her mother in a worn-down apartment was full of memories and dreams of a better life. Today was an important day. She had an interview at Wilson Developments that might change everything. But as she hurried to get ready, a small mishap unfolded that would shape her destiny. Outside on the street, a shiny car was parked near a busy corner. Olivia, in her haste to look neat and professional, stepped up to the car to fix the last few loose buttons on her pink blouse. She pressed her hands against a small mirror on the car's window when suddenly, with a surprising click, the tinted window rolled down. For a split second, Olivia froze. There, sitting in the back seat, was a man in a very expensive suit with bright blue eyes, all of them fixed on her. "Oh, I'm so sorry," Olivia gasped, her face turning as red as the morning sun. Her hands trembled as she tried to secure the final button on her blouse. "I didn't realize anyone was in there," she continued, mortification flooding every word. The man's expression changed from surprise to gentle amusement. "No harm done," he replied in a calm and soft voice. "Good luck with your interview." Even though his words were kind, Olivia felt exposed and embarrassed. She quickly turned away, clutching her worn purse close to her chest as she hurried down the street. She did not know then that behind those calm, deep blue eyes lay a heart that had just been captured by her very human and genuine reaction. For the rest of the morning, every time Olivia caught her reflection in a window or a mirror, she remembered that moment. The caring, mysterious look of a stranger who had seen her in an unguarded moment, and yet had wished her well. Little did she know, the man in the expensive suit, Mr. Adrian Bellamy, would not let that sight go from his mind. In his world, so full of polish and perfection, her genuine panic and honest kindness shone like a light. As the city began to stir with daily life, Olivia gathered her courage and headed to Wilson Developments. She was tired from working long hours at Mel's Diner the previous day, and dark circles under her eyes told the story of sleepless nights and hard work. Yet, beneath the exhaustion, her heart held hope for a better tomorrow. After that strange morning, as Olivia sat in the sleek but intimidating lobby of Wilson Developments, she replayed the memory of the car incident in her mind. Every detail, the gentle tone of the man's voice, the look in his blue eyes, seemed both strange and comforting. Even though her body was still shaking from the moment, she tried to push those thoughts away and concentrate on her interview. Inside the grand building, Olivia met Mr. Thompson, a kind interviewer with warm eyes, who made her feel at ease as he asked questions about her work and dreams. With every answer, Olivia's quiet determination shone through. Yet, as she spoke about her hopes for a better life and the struggles she faced every day, her thoughts drifted back to that car window and the mysterious man. Meanwhile, far away on a quiet street, Adrian Bellamy was making his own way through the day. In his luxurious car, and in a world filled with expensive meetings and polished negotiations, he never expected to have his heart touched so unexpectedly. The sight of Olivia, so real and unguarded, had disturbed the neat order of his life and filled him with a hopeful yearning. Adrian had always been surrounded by people who admired his wealth and power, but today he longed for someone who could see past the expensive suits and the glittering facade. That morning, he realized that there was beauty in the simplicity of everyday mistakes. A simple accident had shown him the truth of genuine humanity. He decided, quietly and respectfully, to follow his heart and try to learn more about the kind young woman who had left such an impression. Olivia, on her part, left the building with mixed feelings. Although the interview had gone well, she couldn't shake the flash of those bright blue eyes. She wondered if that moment was just a random mistake or if it somehow meant something more. With her heart pounding, she stepped out into the crisp air, ready to face yet another day of challenges, not knowing that fate was already weaving their lives together. Life for Olivia Reed was not an easy life by any stretch of the imagination. Each day, she rose before dawn to help her mother at home and then rushed off to work at Mel's diner. The diner was small, with chipped countertops and faded curtains, but it was full of warmth, just like its owner, Mel, who always had a kind word and a ready smile for everyone. At work, Olivia was a favorite among the regulars. She would listen carefully as old Mr. Jenkins recounted his life stories and would always make sure to give little Mary a piece of extra pie when no one was watching. Despite her tired eyes and worn-out clothes, Olivia's kindness made even the gloomiest days a bit brighter. But behind her gentle smile, Olivia longed for something more. Every morning as she prepared for her job interviews, and every evening as she counted the meager earnings, she dreamed of a day when her hard work would finally be rewarded. Sometimes in the quiet moments, she would think, maybe, just maybe, something wonderful is meant to happen to me. Even her best friend, Jessie, would tell her that life was full of surprises. Olivia, Jessie often said, never give up hope. Every mistake, every kind word from a stranger, might be the beginning of something special. Yet, in those moments of doubt, Olivia would quietly wonder if her life was destined to remain the same. That fateful morning at the car window was not the only time Olivia experienced an unexpected moment. Throughout her days, little details, a kind smile from a stranger, a soft pat on the back from a coworker, nudged her toward believing that someday her life might change. And, in a way, it did, when a soft yet determined gaze followed her every step that day. As Olivia finished her workday at the diner, her tired feet carried her through busy streets and softly lit alleys. She would sometimes stop to watch the sky turn brilliant with the colors of the setting sun, feeling that perhaps the universe was trying to tell her something. In those moments, despite the hardships she faced, a spark of hope would light up inside her. Little did Olivia know that while she was living her everyday life, someone special was planning how he could help her on her journey. Adrian Bellamy's world was very different from the one Olivia knew, yet beneath the glitter and glamour, his heart was just as tender. Born into a family known for their great wealth and high expectations, Adrian had grown up learning that money opened many doors. However, with every advantage came a burden, the constant pressure to be perfect, to always impress, and, most of all, never to show his true feelings. Inside his grand office, with walls decorated by art and a view that spanned the city skyline, Adrian often felt lonely. Despite the many well-wishers and business partners who surrounded him, he longed for a simple kindness, a genuine conversation about life beyond bank balances and board meetings. That morning, as he sat in his luxurious car waiting for an important meeting, his eyes landed on the unusual sight of Olivia. In that fleeting moment, he saw not just a young woman in a pink blouse, but a person who was brave and real. Her nervousness, her care for even the smallest details, spoke to something deep inside him. Adrian remembered times when he too had felt out of place in a world that prized perfection over sincerity. Later that day, while reviewing documents in his office, Adrian's mind kept wandering back to the brief moment of contact with Olivia. Her image was as vivid as a painting in his mind, and the kind good luck she had received from him echoed softly with hope. He found himself wondering, who was she? What was her story? Could this unexpected connection be the start of something that would change both their lives? In the years that followed, Adrian made a quiet promise to himself. He would find a way to learn more about the young woman he'd seen that morning, even if that meant stepping far out of his comfortable, familiar world. Although his family and colleagues were busy maintaining their image of success, Adrian felt a stirring, an invitation from fate to let love and genuine connection guide him instead of business numbers and societal expectations. As dusk fell over the city, Adrian looked out of his high-rise window and saw the lights of the busy streets below. He felt that, among those twinkling lights, there was a story waiting to be told, a story of two very different people brought together by a chance encounter, a mistake, and a heartfelt look. And so, With a deep breath, he decided that tomorrow he would step out of his usual routine and see if destiny would let him cross paths with the girl who had captured his heart. The days following that fateful morning brought a series of small, unexpected moments for both Olivia and Adrian. One crisp afternoon, as golden leaves twirled down the busy city streets, Olivia boarded a crowded bus on her way home after a long day of work. She settled in a seat by the window, her mind half lost in thoughts about her upcoming interview and the day's little incidents. As fate would have it, Adrian was also on that same bus. At first, he sat quietly, watching the city scroll past through the window. And then, just as Olivia began to doze, she inadvertently brushed against him when a sudden jolt of the bus made her grip the seat tightly. In that brief, electric moment, she looked up and met his deep blue eyes. Instead of the usual rush of embarrassment, Olivia felt a strange warmth. It was as if she had seen something kind and understanding there, a silent message that said, "I'm here, and you are not alone." For Adrian, it was an affirmation of the hope that had taken root inside him since their first encounter. They exchanged only a few small words. "Thank you," Olivia whispered, thinking of the many times strangers had shown small kindnesses. "You're welcome," replied Adrian with a gentle smile. No grand declarations were made, but in that short ride together, they both realized that their lives, though very different, might share a thread of connection that was just beginning to weave itself. That evening, as Olivia walked home under street lamps that cast soft shadows on the pavement, she thought about the kind smile of the stranger on the bus. Could it be possible that the same man who had wished her luck that morning was now silently sharing her journey? A hint of excitement mixed with uncertainty fluttered inside her, growing stronger with each step. Meanwhile, Adrian found himself replaying the bus ride over and over in his mind. Every detail, the warmth in Olivia's eyes, the way her hair fell gently over her shoulder, made him even more determined to find a way to meet her again. Though his busy schedule usually left little room for serendipity, Adrian quietly began to rearrange his day-to-day activities, hoping that fate might grant him another glimpse of the girl who had captivated him in the most unplanned way. In the days that followed, their paths crossed occasionally, a nod here, a brief smile there at the local grocery store, and even a shared moment at a small park or the city seemed to slow down for a while. Each encounter, no matter how brief, built a bridge between their two worlds, a bridge constructed not of wealth or material things, but of simple, human kindness. For Olivia, these fleeting interactions stirred a cautious hope. She had always thought her world was limited to everyday chores, hard work, and quiet dreams. Now, however, the possibility of something more, a connection that promised compassion and understanding, began to paint her thoughts with vibrant colors. For Adrian, every small moment reaffirmed his decision to break free from his usual life. Slowly, the walls that had long separated him from genuine emotion began to crumble, replaced by the promise of real friendship and perhaps even love. As spring unfurled its fresh colors over the city, little acts of kindness started to change the lives of both Olivia and Adrian. Although they had only exchanged a few words, each simple gesture began to carry the weight of a secret understanding and a promise of more. One bright morning, as Olivia opened the door to Mel's diner, she found a small envelope carefully placed on the counter. Inside, written in neat handwriting, was a note that read, "May your day be as bright as your smile. A friend." Although she did not know who it was from, the note filled her with warmth. All day, the kind words on that paper made her believe that someone, somewhere, cared for her well beyond the usual acts of everyday kindness. Days later, while running errands in the busy marketplace, Olivia encountered another subtle hint of a caring presence. A basket of fresh fruits was left at the food stall with a small tag attached. For the girl with the gentle heart. Olivia's eyes widened in both wonder and nervous joy. Here was a mystery, a kind soul offering help without asking for anything in return. It wasn't long before whispers about this anonymous helper began to spread among the locals. Some said it was a kind neighbor. Others speculated it might be someone who had watched over her since the strange car window incident. Olivia, however, suspected that the person responsible was the same gentle man whose bright eyes she had seen that morning. Adrian, too, was making his silent mark. After noticing Olivia's struggles, like the heavy bag she had to carry or the long hours she spent at work, he orchestrated little interventions. He arranged for extra produce to be delivered to the diner when the stock was low and even left a few kind words on a small, handwritten card in the tip jar. Every time Olivia discovered another good deed from this unknown friend, her heart beat a little faster, and she began to see that her days were slowly being painted with hope. One warm afternoon, fate nudged them together once more in a little park near the market. The park was filled with children playing, elderly friends chatting on benches, and a sense of simple community. Olivia, taking a short break from her busy schedule, sat on a bench under an old oak tree. Soon enough, Adrian approached, his steps careful and respectful. There was a pause, a moment of silent acknowledgement of the past, and a wordless introduction to something new. "Hi, I'm Adrian," he said softly. "We seem to keep meeting, don't we?" Olivia smiled shyly and replied, "I'm Olivia. I think fate is giving us little hints." They talked easily then, sharing stories about their simple dreams and little troubles. Olivia told him about her hopes for a better future and the long days filled with hard work. Adrian listened carefully, his eyes full of understanding and care. In that park, beneath the spreading branches of the oak, a friendship began to blossom. A friendship built on small gestures, unexpected kindness, and quiet trust. The afternoon faded into a beautiful evening as they said goodbye, leaving behind promises of more meetings, more talks, and more shared kindness. Both walked away feeling the magic of a connection that had the power to change their lives. As summer crept into the city with warm breezes and longer days, Olivia and Adrian spent more time together. Their meetings were never planned, but destiny seemed to guide them to places where they could share their hearts. In simple cafes, under the shade of old trees, and while sharing ice cream on a sunny day in the park, they gradually unraveled the stories of their lives. One quiet evening, after a long conversation that lasted until the stars filled the sky, Olivia confessed in simple, heartfelt language, "I have always felt invisible, like I am not enough. I work so hard and dream so big, yet it seems the world does not notice." Adrian, looking in her eyes, responded, "I used to think the same. People see my wealth first, but they don't see the loneliness behind it. I want to see who you truly are, Olivia, the person brave enough to dream." The words were gentle and sincere, and for a moment, the world around them was filled with nothing but understanding. Their confessions came in small whispers, spoken in the language of simple truths and shared hopes. Olivia explained that her life was full of small sacrifices, but that every act of kindness, whether from a stranger at the diner or a soft word in the breeze, kept her believing in better days. Adrian revealed that behind every business decision was a longing for real connection and a craving for a life where he could feel unburdened by the weight of expectations. In those precious hours together, a quiet trust began to form. The space between their different worlds started to shrink as they learned that true worth was found in compassion, honesty, and the tiny miracles that every day can bring. They laughed, they cried a little, and in that exchange, each felt that maybe the other was exactly the friend and companion they had been waiting for. As the night deepened, they promised to meet again soon. Both had learned that while their worlds were very different, one filled with financial struggles and the other with high society, they shared the same human heart. In that day, under a starlit sky, they learned the simple truth. Sometimes, the most beautiful love is born from the simplest moments of understanding. Even as their friendship grew, the differences between Olivia's world and Adrian's life began to show. Olivia's days were long and hard, filled with small victories and many setbacks, while Adrian's life, despite its sparkle, was isolated by expectations and endless responsibilities. At the diner, Olivia listened to whispers among her coworkers. Some admired her for catching the eye of a rich stranger, while others warned her that a man like that might never understand the struggles of someone like her. "He comes from a world far away from us," an older waitress remarked, half in envy, half in caution. Olivia absorbed the words quietly, though they weighed on her mind like a gentle worry. Adrian, too, faced challenges in opening his heart. At family gatherings and business meetings, discussions about wealth, status, and the responsibilities of his privileged life filled the air. His relatives expected him to follow a very strict path, one that did not leave much room for romance with someone from a different social station. Yet, every time he thought of Olivia, his heart whispered that maybe the rules could be bent, if only for a chance to be truly happy. One rainy afternoon, as Olivia hurried home with an umbrella that threatened to flip inside out, a sudden downpour caught her by surprise. She ducked into a small shop for shelter, shivering as she watched people pass by. It was then that she saw a familiar figure outside, leaning against the shop's window, a figure in a neat suit, looking concerned in the rain. The sight of Adrian standing there broke through her loneliness for a moment. His concern was real and unpretentious. Inside the shop, as Olivia waited for the rain to ease, she thought about the many rumors and warnings. Was it possible to bridge the gap between two such different worlds? Could the love that had been budding between them overcome the whispers of society and the hurdles of their realities? Later that evening, Adrian made a discreet phone call. He reached out to someone who managed a charity program in the neighborhood, without revealing his name, just to help support some of the local businesses and families. His small acts, done anonymously, were his silent way of trying to connect the world he came from with the life that so many in his community led. In that, he saw the possibility that maybe he could do the same with his relationship with Olivia, blending his world with hers in a simple, honest way. The day ended with each of them tucked in at home, wondering if their different worlds could ever truly meet. And yet, a small piece of hope glowed in each heart, the hope that sometimes love is strong enough to bridge any gap. Trouble came unexpectedly one autumn day. A misunderstanding, born of well-meant but awkward advice from a friend, threatened to unravel the delicate bond between Olivia and Adrian. A misinterpreted conversation in which Olivia felt that Adrian was trying to change who she was led her to doubt his true feelings. In a moment of vulnerability, she withdrew from his calls and visits, afraid that their worlds could never truly be together. Adrian was heartbroken. He could not understand how a small mistake had spiraled into such a painful gulf between them. Determined to mend the crack in their blossoming connection, he went to great lengths to show Olivia that his feelings were genuine. He left messages, sent a bouquet of wildflowers with a handwritten note that read, "I value you for all that you are. Please let's talk," and even visited the diner anonymously to ensure she was safe. Olivia, meanwhile, struggled with her own doubts. The world she knew had taught her that people like her were not meant to mix with those from a glamorous sphere. The harsh words of uncertainty echoed in her mind as she recalled the kind man's gentle assurances. Was his interest in her real, or was it just another fleeting kindness that would vanish when the truth of their differences became too hard to bear? After several days of silence filled with regret and longing, fate intervened once more. Olivia's best friend, Jessie, learned of the misunderstanding and reached out to Olivia with a story from her own heart, one of how a caring gesture, even if clumsily delivered, could mean more than all the riches in the world. Jessie explained how sometimes the heart speaks in quiet ways, and that a misunderstanding should not cast away the truth of real feelings. Encouraged by Jessie's words, Olivia decided to take a brave step. One chilly evening, she sent a simple text, "I'm sorry. Can we talk?" That message was all it took for a door to open. Adrian, overwhelmed with relief and joy, immediately arranged to meet her at a small, familiar cafe on a quiet street corner. In that quiet cafe, over steaming cups of cocoa, the two spent hours talking. Olivia apologized for her sudden withdrawal, and Adrian explained how every small act of kindness was not a ploy to change her, but an honest expression of the care he felt. They talked about their fears, their dreams, and their need to belong to a world where differences mattered less than the connection of their hearts. In that conversation, every doubt was clarified. They learned that while the gap between them was real, it was bridged by trust, respect, and the understanding that every person is more than the world sees on the surface. They agreed that true love never tries to change who the other is, but celebrates the qualities that make each unique. That night, as the cafe's lights softly glowed and the rain pattered gently on the windows, Olivia and Adrian vowed to face any challenge together. In the weeks that followed, both Olivia and Adrian worked hard to build a world together, one where social titles and money were secondary to mutual respect and love. Olivia began to see that she could stand tall and proud of who she was, despite the whispers of insecurity from the past. With Adrian by her side, she started to explore opportunities that had once seemed out of reach. He introduced her, gently, to a network of people who valued hard work and honesty over wealth and status. Adrian, in turn, took bold steps to prove that he was ready to break free from the confines of his privileged world. He attended community events with Olivia, sometimes wearing a simple sweater over his expensive suit, and learning from the people around him. People in his family and friends wondered aloud about his changing style, but he could only smile. The difference was clear. With Olivia, he felt free to be himself. Their shared projects, organizing a small local fair, volunteering at a community center, and even planning a modest celebration for the diner's anniversary, became milestones. Each event was a testament to what could happen when two very different worlds collided and merged into something beautiful. Through every challenge, from logistical mishaps to hurtful remarks from outsiders, Olivia and Adrian stood side by side. Slowly, the community began to see what was unfolding, a genuine relationship that defied expectations. Over time, even the skeptical began to admire the way Adrian's family started softening their views, realizing that love could teach them all something new about kindness and humanity. Olivia, too, felt empowered by the knowledge that her worth was not defined by what she had, but by who she was. The transformation was gradual but heartfelt. In the gentle glow of evening walks and shared dinners, they discovered that honesty and kindness could outshine any difference in social status. Together, they built a bridge between two worlds, one step, one act of kindness at a time. Spring returned once more, and with it, the promise of renewal. As the city woke to showers of blossoms and the days grew longer and warmer, Olivia and Adrian celebrated the new season with a sense of hope that had only deepened after all they had overcome. Olivia finally landed a better job, a position that recognized her hard work and allowed her to use her creative talents. On the day of the celebration, while sunlight danced on the freshly washed streets, she wore her pink blouse with pride, knowing that every button symbolized not a mistake, but a small victory. Adrian, ever supportive, stood by her side with a gentle smile that told her no matter what happened, she was cherished. The celebration wasn't grand by societal standards, but it was real, a small community gathering at the diner, where everyone who had witnessed Olivia's journey came together. There were simple decorations, homemade treats, and the genuine laughter of friends and neighbors. In that place, even a millionaire like Adrian was just another friend, deeply moved by the spirit of unity and hope. During the celebration, as the crowd gathered to listen to Olivia share her story of determination and courage, Adrian felt his heart swell with pride. He knew that their path had not been easy, but every challenge had brought them closer together. That day, as the evening sky turned shades of lilac and gold, they shared a quiet moment outside the diner, hand in hand, promising each other that together, they would face whatever the future held. They talked about plans for tomorrow, about how they would continue to help others in the community, and about the simple truth that kindness can change a life. Their love, once sparked by a random glance at a car window, had grown into something that could light up even the darkest days. Years passed, and the city continued to bustle with life. Olivia and Adrian's love had blossomed into a strong partnership, a mix of two very different souls united by fate. Their story became an inspiration for everyone who knew them, a gentle reminder that love is not a matter of wealth or social status, but of sincerity, hard work, and the courage to be true to oneself. Olivia, now confident and radiant in her successes, often recalled that fateful morning when her life had unexpectedly changed. The memory of fixing her blouse by a car window became a symbol, a moment when two unlikely hearts began to beat as one. Adrian, once confined by a life of opulence and isolation, discovered the joy of genuine connection through her simple acts of kindness and her unyielding determination. Their days were filled with laughter, mutual support, and a commitment to make the world a little kinder. They continued to work with the community, opening small programs that helped others chase their dreams, just as Olivia had done. Their home, modest but filled with warmth and memories, was a sanctuary where anyone in need was welcomed. On a bright summer afternoon, as the couple sat beneath their favorite old oak tree in the park, a tree that had witnessed many of their shared moments, Adrian turned to Olivia and said in simple words, "You made me believe that love can change everything." Olivia, with a joyful tear glistening in her eye, replied, "And you showed me that I am enough, exactly as I am." In that quiet confession, everyone who ever doubted the magic of fate learned that sometimes the simplest moments, a look, a kind word, a shared smile, could weave together the fabric of a lasting love story. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows over the park, the couple sat hand in hand and planned a future filled with hope, service, and more love than either had ever imagined possible. They knew that their journey was far from perfect, but it was real, it was honest, and it was built on the understanding that every person has the power to make a difference, starting with themselves. And so, as the final chapter of their early struggles gave way to a bright new beginning, Olivia and Adrian promised to carry their love forward into each new day, inspiring everyone around them to believe in the magic of kindness, the courage to dream, and the timeless power of love. Hey there, story lovers. If you want to add a little more magic, adventure, and heartwarming moments to your day, make sure you subscribe to the Daily Stories channel on YouTube. Join our community of dreamers and seekers of inspiration. Hit that subscribe button and tap the bell icon so you never miss our new story every single day.